Yeah, cool. So, my name is Gavin. I am a business information systems graduate. I graduated in 2017. I guess I went against the grain a little bit where I didn't go straight into a graduate position. I just didn't feel ready for it. Um, I personally had a huge interest in the alcohol industry. So in terms of your Irish craft beers, your Irish whiskies, and the wine industry as well. And I was working in that industry part time as I was doing BIS. So I decided to take that on full time on the retail side of it because it was something that I loved. Um, and then innovation through design thinking came along, and it was a challenge, and it was something that really excited me. So the 1st of September, I applied for it, and a year on later, now here we are.
Very good, Gavin. And Gavin, what struck me about your project, you referred to this community, was it the no-low community? Do you want to tell us a bit about what that community is?
So the whole premise behind my project was I guess raising awareness for the non to low alcoholic beverages with a specific focus on local craft. And in terms of local craft beer, I know it's a bit tougher engaging with local craft wine because Ireland don't have the climate for wine and spirits. That's still an oncoming trend, but mainly local craft beer. So I felt like I wanted to almost design a platform for a community to build around raising awareness and encouraging conversation around non-low beverages. So hence the name No Low Community. I know it's a bit of a tongue twister, but so Paddy, like I've the passion for craft. The beer industry for me is huge. You know, it's something that has grown and grown over the last few years for me in terms of my own interest and even seeing the breweries grow. And I feel personally, I know this is going to be a bias, but local for me is better than what the alternative is what the market leaders and the multinational companies are offering. So I've always believed that in terms of just regular alcoholic beverages. And I guess the no low side for me, what triggered me into looking into it more was I didn't know much about it. And I personally saw like a disregard or a non-interest towards non-low alcoholic beers in general. And I felt personally that if there was a way to change this or help change perceptions or help grow awareness, it was through the innovation and the community around the craft beer community. Because ultimately, like I think there's up to 75 independent microbreweries in Ireland now, which back in 2012 I think there was around 12. You know, so it's grown. The market has grown so much for it, and they all have, I think, the same goal of just producing really good local beer, really good quality. Even the innovation behind the cans, Paddy, you know, they're artworking themselves, you know, and they're all working together. Like, and I think it's fantastic that that they're challenging ultimately the big boys in your Heinekens and your Carlsbergs and all the big companies.
Yeah, and of course there's lots of benefits of local though, because you're cutting out maybe large scale production, large scale transportation. So there's an environmental, there's also, of course, the low alcohol, no alcohol, there's the health benefits, societal benefits, etc.
Sure.
Gavin, this seems like a big undertaking, you know. So how did you go about it?
So I guess first of all, which was probably the toughest thing, was just getting started, you know. So what we had to do was almost build a team around us to help us to solve this this problem or wicked problem. So you had building a team. For me, since I was still I was still going to work every day. I wasn't working from home. So I tried to build my team around people who I was seeing every day, because for me, design thinking is totally human focused and human based, and I wanted to keep that in my project. So consistently talking, vocalizing, visualizing, all that good stuff around the project, not only to my team but to people consumers of beer, you know, and wine and spirits, consistently gaining feedback just through casual conversations, you know, and that was the main thing for me. And then there's the whole research side of it, in terms of I was looking through beer reports of facts and figures of the growth of the market, the decline of the market, you know, the whole how COVID has affected sales on the on-trade side. So you're looking at your pubs and your restaurants, you know, totally gone pretty much, to the off-trade sales in the supermarkets and the local independent off licenses, you know, going through the roof, because they got to stay open, you know, and then seeing the craft beer market grow and looking at the trends that were happening around the market, you know, people looking for better quality beverages, as you said, being more health conscious, you know, looking at the whole side of well-being, looking at just being more mindful in general, and just people choosing to support local as well. So all these trends were fascinating in researching. And then on the other side of it, I was also looking at the data from, I guess, on the consumption side of it, due to COVID, you know, people staying at home, you know, the isolation, the loneliness that has happened over the last year. You know, there has been the different demographics, mainly has been no change, but there has noticeably been increases in alcohol consumption. So I wanted to also kind of hone in on that to show that they're just what the last year has sprung on people, and it has been a tough year. And then also using, you know, the design thinking methodologies around it, you know, so your design sprints, you know, your empathy mapping, your persona mappings. There was so much to it. And then lastly, I did drink a few non-alcoholic beers to get in the mindset.
Yeah. And it's very interesting, Gavin, because I'm smiling because I remember as well, and it goes down to back to what you're saying, you know, that you were working and this had to fit with your work life, and also lots of other things going on in everyone's life, you know. But I'm smiling because I remember you showing us photos of literally a very organic form of design sprint, where I think you were even doing it at work with some of your colleagues, where you were showing them design concepts and you were iterating through those at work. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so it was actually the very first probably design sprint of just getting our just brainstorming basically, Paddy. So like, what is non-alcoholic? What do we think of it? What do we think consumers' preconceptions are of it, if any? Just keywords, Paddy, and just using actual sticky notes, because, you know, we've been all virtual. Yeah. So it was quite different actually, and showing like the quality of the sticky notes that I had were terrible. But yeah, literally, like, we had on the back fridge in our back office, which has seen better days, just full of sellotape and sticky notes and our own ideas. And I guess we were trying to visualize what we thought. The whole idea of the artifact was huge, of what we might design as being the final artifact of the action research design, you know, because it's totally building, it's totally iterating. You know, you're formalizing all your ideas and your contributions. And the whole idea of what action research design for me is, you know, designing for impact and getting that kind of sweet spot between, you know, your desirability, your feasibility, and your viability. You know, looking at the so what.
And yeah, it was there were very powerful photographs actually, just showing some of the ways we can design, you know, and it may not look as formal as people might expect that are listening to this. Sometimes it can be very informal, but it's wherever you can get these insights. That's where we go as designers. And I think that was a fantastic story. I have to come back to what was your artifact? You referred earlier to a platform. What's the purpose of this platform?
So it was an online platform, Paddy, where users could either, I guess, be passive users in terms of just browse, or be active users. And I broke down during our design sprints and the whole design thinking methodologies, I broke them down into personas to fit who I think might use the platform. But ultimately, it's a platform for users to browse in terms of look at reviews of local beers, wines, or spirits. if they want to engage, absolutely, they can become a member of the NOLO community. They can write their own reviews, comment on reviews, and then there's the whole idea of the forum side of it. So I also like this is ultimately for me the non-alcoholic, low alcoholic market is something that is growing and continuing to grow. So people are curious, people want to ask questions. So I figured having a forum would be really interesting. I broke them down. We as a team broke them down into like the Irish Craft Forum, an international beer forum. There was a mindful drinking forum, which was something that I wanted to include in terms of like questioning the whole idea of the whole idea of well-being and just questioning our relationships and habits almost with picking up a beer, or these small things, and even the terminologies of a poddy. Like the concepts of alcohol being a very, very small ingredient in the whole experience of having a beer. If you're going out, you're going to meet up with friends, you're going to a bar for the music, the atmosphere. If you think about it, alcohol is so small in that. So like the whole idea of the mindful drinking section in the forum to question that. And then there's other like tips and tricks of like maybe people want to know about mocktails, of what are good ingredients, what are bad, what's just anything poddy, as in just to get the conversation flowing. I've been getting some feedback from the UCC kind of education office about, it could be a platform for students, coming back onto campus next year. First year students in particular who might feel a bit anxious, don't like to drink, choose not to drink. This could be a really cool platform for just to normalize the whole idea of non-alcoholic, and just to be a nice platform to ease them into the whole idea of socializing and change the way you can socialize as well, poddy.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be focused around a drinking culture.
No, and like you've been very consistent with that as well, Gavin, and inspirational, and also just to point out, you did win an award, during the program for that local impact, the fact that you were creating that local impact. So I think that's something very important to note here. But also, Gavin, where to next for yourself, do you think? Like, you obviously have developed lots of new skills, capabilities, confidence. You can hear maybe a lot of confidence there. Where to next?
Yeah, so ultimately, poddy, for me was the whole idea of upskilling again. So I had my bachelor degree from BIS and I wanted to upskill. So for me, a main thing was just getting the confidence to get back out there, be it in the IT industry or wherever, because now I think I have a good focus on what my abilities are. I have a confidence in myself as well that I probably haven't had it in a few years, which is fantastic. So I guess for me is kind of prioritizing, to keep challenging myself, because it was probably something that I haven't been doing in the past 2 years, poddy. This diploma has gotten my mind ticking again, and made me curious and hungry for more and eager to literally go out there and see what other opportunities are out there for me, which was something that I haven't been doing, to be perfectly honest,
Gavin, like you raise really two interesting points. The first one is how difficult was it to make this program work for you? Because you were working full time, and you were also trying to then obviously do what is an academic program. Can you even share some insights for the audience about how possible that was, and maybe some tips or tricks you might have?
Yeah, for sure, poddy. So like it is challenging for sure. I guess having it on, you have straight away, we had our schedule for basically the whole 2 semesters, poddy. So it was easy to block off those days, and you knew on Fridays you would be in class, and then you'd have the Fridays design sprints as well, and the design classes. So just having that foresight was really good, to be honest with you, that you knew where you were going to be. I guess then for me, like my working hours I could start as late as 12 and I could be back home at 9. So there was many late nights, don't get me wrong, and early mornings just to get things done, because you would be tired at the end of the day. But for me, that's why I kind of tied in my project to what I was doing in work on a daily basis, because it really helped me focus. And I was living it every day, I was banging on about non-alcoholic stuff to everybody every day, and I was probably annoying some people. But in saying that, like the work was so enjoyable. The lectures were so enjoyable. Like it didn't bother me, you know. Fridays were probably the highlight of my week. Logging on and seeing yourselves and all the classmates, you know, it was really fantastic. And you know, the amount of diversity and experience and talent within yourselves and the core group, you know, like I don't think I've ever worked with that many people with so many different talents from so many different backgrounds. You know, and I'm talking about pulling people in pharmaceuticals and healthcare, in IT, to the creative arts side of it, you know. Like, think about it, and there was someone in our group that had one of those talents, and it was quite humbling, to be honest, because you know there was so much experience there, that like that alone, Paddy, you know.
Gavin, is there any final points you'd like to make for maybe anyone that is thinking of coming in, maybe and lacking some of that confidence that you're talking about there?
Yeah, just do it. You know, you have absolutely nothing to lose if you're thinking about doing this course. You know, if you think about the experience alone you would get from just networking with the people on the course, you know, it's phenomenal. You know, I've gotten up at 6 in the morning to do forest bathing. Funny.
Yeah.
What, like, if you like, I have no words, you know.
Yeah.
There's things like this where you gain from people and you get an insight into what they do, and you're fascinated, and it just totally opens up your whole mindset. And for me, it was probably the growth from my fixed. We talked about this in probably this first or second lecture, and it still stuck with me. You're fixed in your growth mindset, you know, and consistently needing to grow and showing your, you know, understanding the difference between compassion and empathy. And you gain so much on a personal level alone in this postgraduate diploma. It's unbelievable. And you have some fantastic, you know, guest lectures, guest speakers. But I think, you know, if you're a thinker or a doer, this program will make you both. You know, it will challenge you to be both a thinker and a doer. And I just guess the last piece of advice would be, you know, if you have any preconceptions about design thinking, you know, just leave them at the door when you come into this.
I think it's a great picture you paint. It's a real diverse experience on the program, and it isn't design thinking like a checklist. It's actually about getting right into that mindset. Sure, I think, and Gavin, I think you epitomize someone that went on that journey, though, right back to that mindset and maybe growing that mindset again, and then the skills and then the behaviors. So, Gavin, thanks a million for your time.
My pleasure, Paddy, and thank you as well, and all the lecturing staff. Your passion for design thinking is inspirational, and you live and breathe it, and that's what makes the course even better, Paddy.